It was the summer after I graduated high school and I was feeling bored and restless. My friends were all away on family vacations or at summer jobs, but my parents couldn't afford to send me anywhere exciting. I spent most days just hanging around the house, watching TV or scrolling through my phone. One particularly hot and humid afternoon, I decided to go for a walk to get out of the house. I didn't have any destination in mind. I just started wandering aimlessly through the neighborhood. The sun was beating down and there was barely any breeze. As I walked, I started to wish I had brought a water bottle. I was passing by the neighborhood park when I noticed a white van parked in the otherwise empty lot. That's weird, I thought. There are never any vehicles parked there during the day. As I got closer, I saw a man sitting in the driver's seat staring straight ahead. He looked to be in his 40s or 50s with greasy gray hair and a scruffy beard. From what I could see, he was wearing a plain blue t-shirt. I averted my eyes and kept walking, picking up my pace a little. When I snuck a glance back over my shoulder, I saw the man was now watching me through the van's side mirror. A chill went down my spine despite the heat. I turned the corner to get out of his view and continued on my way. I cut through a few more neighborhood blocks, feeling increasingly unsettled about the van and the creepy man inside. I decided to loop back on myself to get home, carefully avoiding the park. When I was about halfway back, I suddenly heard an engine rev behind me. I spun around and felt my heart skip a beat when I saw the white van crawling down the street after me. Shit, I thought, panic rising in my chest. I was still at least a 15-minute walk from my house. I picked up the pace, resisting the urge to run or look back again. Don't let him know you're scared. Just get home. But each time I turned a corner, the van appeared again. It lagged back, never getting too close, but it was clearly following me. My mouth went dry and my hands started to shake. I desperately scanned the surroundings for help. Person mowing their lawn, kids playing, anything. But the neighborhood was empty and still in the sluggish afternoon heat. I was still 5 blocks from home when I heard the engine noise accelerate suddenly. My breath caught in my throat as the van pulled up right next to me. The man stared at me intently out of the passenger side window. "Hey there, need a ride?" he rasped with a sick grin. I froze. "No thanks," I muttered, barely able to squeeze the words out. I walked faster, arms stiff at my sides. "Come on now, you looked a little overheated. I've got AC, nice cold water." He trailed off, still creeping along beside me. "I'm fine, thanks," I said louder, staring straight ahead. "Now don't be rude," he said with a sinister chuckle. "I'm just trying to help you out. A pretty young thing like you shouldn't be walking all alone." I felt my stomach twist at his words. Don't engage. Just get the hell home. I repeated this mantra in my head like a chant. "Leave me alone," I suddenly shouted, unable to control the trembling in my voice. I broke into a jog, no longer caring if he knew I was afraid. The van sped up and stayed right on my heels. "Feisty one." The man let out a full-throated laugh. "Now you're making this fun." Tears stung my eyes as I sprinted at full speed towards my block. The van accelerated and swerved halfway onto the sidewalk, trying to cut me off. Adrenaline seared through my limbs like lightning. I darted across a lawn and behind a row of trash cans, praying the guy didn't see where I went. I crouched in silence for a moment, lungs burning. The van crawled slowly down the street. I didn't move a muscle until I heard it turn the corner and the engine faded into the distance. I took off again down a maze of backyards and side streets. I didn't stop running until I reached my house. I burst through the front door, soaked in sweat and tears, crumpling onto the floor. It was empty. My parents were both at work. I stayed huddled there on the entryway carpet for I don't know how long. Every sound outside felt like the creep in the van coming back for me. Even once my parents got home, I couldn't bring myself to leave the house again. It's been weeks now, but I still get tense walking through the neighborhood. Any passing vehicle still feels like a threat. I used to love long, aimless summer walks. Now the restless boredom seems safer somehow. I wonder if I'll ever feel at ease here again. Part of me hopes the guy moved on and found some other place to haunt. But another part knows monsters like him rarely stop at just one hunt. That empty stillness and stifling heat now bring back his snarling voice. And the chilling thought that I was just one block, one moment from finding out exactly what he wanted. The scorching summer heat never used to bother me as a kid. I lived for those 3 months of freedom. No school, no schedule, just adventures with friends from dawn until dusk. But ever since the summer before 8th grade, those sunny days carry a sinister undertone. An evil was awakened in my hometown that year, one that lurks beneath the calm surface, waiting to pull me back into its dark tide anytime I let my guard down. It started normally enough. School got out and my best friend Jenny and I biked around town chasing that intoxicating childhood excitement. We'd stay out until the lightning bugs emerged, scheming up new summer fun. Sleepovers, bonfires, pool parties. It was the magic of youth distilled into those perfect sun-soaked months. Looking back now, I guess there were little signs of the darkness gathering amidst all that light. Strange cars parked along our quiet street at odd hours. Neighborhood pets have gone mysteriously missing. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of unfamiliar faces peeking from the tree line as we played in the yard. But I thought nothing of these small oddities at the time. I was too busy reveling in newfound freedom. If only I'd paid more attention, maybe things would be different today. It was a sweltering July afternoon when the idyllic summer facade first cracked. Jenny and I decided to walk downtown for milkshakes. Usually we stuck to the main street, but that day we decided to take a shortcut through some back alleyways to stay out of the oppressive heat. We were innocently chatting and slurping our shakes when out of nowhere, a grimy hand shot from a doorway and grabbed Jenny's arm. We both screamed as a disheveled man in filthy clothing tried yanking her toward him. She managed to wriggle free, and we ran without looking back until we collapsed, wheezing and sobbing. I'll never forget the look of sadistic enjoyment in that man's wild eyes as he tried to grab Jenny. This wasn't some harmless townie. There was something purely evil in his leering gaze, a predatory hunger that defied all reason. We immediately told our parents and the police, insisting they search for this man before he could assault anyone else. But they wrote it off as an isolated incident, saying alleys were dangerous and we should avoid them from now on. Jenny and I knew there was more to it than that, but we were just kids. No one fully believed the dark threat we encountered was real. In the following weeks, an atmosphere of lurking dread settled over our neighborhood. Parents forbid kids from biking alone or staying out after dinner. Strange incidents kept mounting up that summer. Pets mutilated beyond recognition, screams heard deep in the woods, items stolen from unlocked garages. Through it all, I couldn't escape the twisted memory of that man's cruel eyes. He became the embodiment of shadowy evil hiding behind the cheery suburban facade. And I knew in my gut he was still out there roaming closer each night. The police continued dismissing our concerns, saying there was no evidence linking any central culprit. They encouraged us to go about our normal fun while they handled patrolling the area. But Jenny and I no longer felt safe wandering on warm summer nights. Something wicked had been unleashed from the shadows. We could feel its sinister presence all around us, hungry and waiting. The evil finally revealed itself on a humid August night. Around 1 a.m., I was jolted awake by distressed cries and banging outside. I ran to the window in horror to see Jenny standing below, face streaked with tears and blood. Behind her lumbered the hulking silhouette of a man, his features obscured in darkness. I started screaming for help as Jenny shrieked that he had broken in through her bedroom window. Suddenly, he cursed loudly and sprinted off just as my dad came barreling outside. I rushed out to hug Jenny tightly as she recounted the story through anguished sobs. The police apprehended a suspect shortly after, a registered sex offender new to town, but Jenny and I recognized it wasn't him. The beast who haunted us was still roaming the night unfettered. I wish I could say he was captured, and we went back to feeling carefree and safe. But that was the last true summer of childhood for us. The carefree days of barefoot backyard adventures ended abruptly, swallowed up by gathering darkness. It's been over a decade now since that harrowing period. On the surface, I'm an adult who has moved beyond youthful terrors. I take evening college classes, go jogging at dusk alone, visit home, and walk the old neighborhood without fear. But behind the facade, I still carry the cold dread of that summer lodged deep within. When the days lengthen and the fireflies glow, I sense the sinister presence lurking once more at the edges, patiently biding his time. I know what lurks now beneath the calm veneer. A fathomless hunger passed from breath to breath, waiting to rise and claim me once again. Some evils can never be contained or vanquished, only kept at bay for so long. I don't know where that man is now, or whose lives he has shattered since. but I can feel him even today in the lengthening shadows when I wander too far from the light. A cruel intelligence that knows my face, remembers my scent, and craves to finish what was started so long ago. The dark tide always sweeps back over this town in the languid summer heat, and once you've escaped its grasp, you spend every long sunny season thereafter dreading the moment those soulless eyes find you again across the haze of light and memory. Because now you understand the true menace that hides on even the most beautiful days, patiently biding its time before the darkness comes to claim you once more. Summer is supposed to be fun. As a kid, I lived for those sunny months of freedom. Long days spent at the pool, riding bikes around the neighborhood after dark, catching fireflies in the backyard. Summer meant freedom and adventure, or at least it used to. Now when those hot months roll around, I get this twisting anxiety in my gut. Ever since that terrifying summer 5 years ago, when carefree innocence gave way to bone-chilling fear. It all started normally enough. School let out and I was thrilled to have nothing but free time stretching out before me. My friends and I spent our days biking to the lake, hanging out at the mall and sleeping in as late as we wanted. It was everything summer should be. Looking back now, I guess the first ominous signs were easy to miss. A dark SUV that would drive by a little too slowly when we were out late riding our bikes. Garbled voices from an unknown number leaving disturbing voicemails on my phone. My dog barked wildly into the trees behind my house at nothing. In the moment, they seemed like unimportant, creepy coincidences. I was too distracted by the fun of staying out late with friends and summer crushes. If only I had paid more attention to the darkness lurking right under my oblivious nose. Things escalated one hot July night. A group of us were down at the neighborhood pool after dark, which was strictly forbidden. The gate was padlocked at sundown, but we knew a spot in the fence you could crawl under. We'd sneak in a few nights a week, climbing up to dive from the lifeguard towers. Around 2 a.m., the flashlights appeared. At first, we laughed it off as cops coming to bust us. But as the beams grew closer, a chill ran through me. They weren't sweeping and authoritative like police flashlights. They danced eerily across the gate like someone was deliberately trying to scare us. We hid in the shadows, stifling panicked breaths. Whoever was out there clanged something metallic against the fence, then went silent. My heart was pounding. This didn't feel like local law enforcement. After a few agonizingly tense minutes, my friend Will whispered it was time to get out of there. We all bolted from our hiding spots and squeezed under the fence, then ran until we collapsed, wheezing and shaking. We swore each other to secrecy, convinced we'd imagined the whole creepy scene. But the twisting dread in my gut remained, a crawling sensation that eyes were watching me everywhere I went. I became increasingly paranoid over the next few weeks. I'd hear footsteps rustling outside my bedroom window late at night. Shadowy figures seemed to lurk down every dimly lit street I walked, and I couldn't shake the ominous feeling I was being hunted. My friends wrote it off as an overactive imagination or too many horror movies, but I knew this fear was different, more primal and consuming than childish thrills. One muggy afternoon as I walked home alone from the pool, those fears were realized. Out of nowhere, a white van came screeching up beside me. Before I could react, 2 men jumped out and grabbed me, clamping a rag over my face. The smell of the rag overwhelmed me as everything faded away. When I came to, I was bound and blindfolded in a concrete room. For hours, my terrified screams went unanswered. I slipped in and out of consciousness, praying this was just a nightmare I'd wake from. But the whirring of a camera and demented whispers from the shadows confirmed my hellish imprisonment was real. I won't describe the horrors I endured in that windowless room. Even now, my mind refuses to fully confront those memories. How long I was trapped there, I'm not sure. Time blurred into a haze of blinding fear and pain. Finally, I was able to chew through my ties and escape out a back exit. I ran dazed and bleeding until I found a main road. A kind woman picked me up and brought me to the hospital. I didn't leave the house once the entire rest of the summer, just stayed locked away jumping at every creak and rustle. My parents said I had a virus that kept relapsing. I think deep down they knew it was something more. But we never spoke of those missing weeks out loud. The police scoured the town but turned up nothing definitive on my kidnappers. It was as if they had simply vanished one day, like ghosts. Without faces or names to pin my trauma upon, it lingered like an amorphous specter, poisoning the joy of summer for me forever. I'm in college now, and the scars have mostly faded. On the surface, I'm normal again, staying up late studying, going to parties on the weekends, walking alone across campus after dark. But there's a lurking dread that follows me no matter how far from home I roam. When leaves appear on the trees and there is more daylight, my breath catches in my throat once more. Every passing car holds a menacing threat. The shadows harbor twisted secrets. Under the right friendly mask, anyone could be a monster waiting to strike. I learned that truth too young one summer night at the hands of true evil. And no amount of time or distance can erase the lingering fear that still smiles at me from the darkness. The carefree days of summer ended for me that year. But the things that haunt me, faceless terrors without names, stalk the sunshine eternally.